Please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to start off the meeting by saying Mayor Brew is not feeling well, so I will conduct the meeting. Thank you. Roll call, Trish.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Here.
Mr. Menegini?
Here.
Mr. Moraro?
Here.
Mr. Pop?
Here. Any changes or we have approved for agenda?
Do we have to talk about the one change for the closed session?
I'll just make the motion that we,
I amended that. Yeah, we amended it. It's on the agenda.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Do we have approval of the minutes, regular meeting, January 17th, 2024?
My motion, we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 17th, 2024.
Or
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Okay, let's go to manifest 2024-03, amount of $439,080.91. Mr. Pop, you got any questions? Nothing to make. Mr. Kramer?
I got it.
Funny guy. Funny guy.
Mr. McGee?
Done.
I got a couple. Oh, you skipped me, okay. Tell me.
Moraro?
I do. Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem Pop. Okay, page 2, refuse collection. 3 down, all apartment dumpsters, blah, 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 blah. I thought we talked about changing that.
So we did, and then my concern was how the ordinances are written, and my concern was getting 30-some potential individual garbage cans at apartments. So I'm trying to get an amendment to the planning commission to not have that happen.
That's okay. I understand that. I'm just wondering how we're offsetting this charge.
Right now, that particular, we're not.
So why can't we offset the charge? I mean, we could charge them for the 30 odd, what it would be for the city.
Yeah, I mean.
In the meantime.
We can have like the administration of that in there, but the best part, I think the elimination of.
That's great, but in the meantime, I don't want to keep putting out $1,800 every month.
And we've been talking about that since.
Right, and we're not
I mean,
collecting
we're not
anything.
talking that entire amount, we do charge them, but there is a difference between what we receive and what we pay.
Yeah, but, and then you got the recycling fees below that as well. And I'm assuming that goes hand in hand with the apartment dumpsters?
Recycling, I'm not sure.
Or is that our dumpster back here
We have
for
ours.
recycling?
We have ours.
That would be ours.
Can we get some clarification on that? Because I don't know that we necessarily have to, maybe we're getting the cart before the horse a little bit. As long as we're collecting something, if we know the count for resident, you understand what I'm saying, guys? At least we can start collecting some money back until we decide what we want to do with the dumpster thing.
Our recycling, we did figure that cost into the rates, the regular rates.
Yeah, that's great. So that, cleared on that, but I'm still looking at that 1786.14.
Yeah, I don't know the exact difference between what we're charging and what we're collecting, but yeah, we can look at it.
Yeah, that'd be great if we get some clarification on that next meeting. Thanks. Right below that, recreational department, items 3 and 4. Softball field fall treatment, and again, softball field fall treatment.
So those are all stemming for, we received those invoices during like the fall time, and we were receiving a lot of invoices that didn't make any sense, so we sent them back to Bex, and it took them several months to figure out their system, and then resend us the appropriate invoices for the work that was done.
How many softball fields do we have?
2.
We do have 2?
Well, we can consider the softball field over here.
Okay.
And then one in Marion Park.
It just looks confusing to me, right? Because it says softball field treatment, softball field treatment.
Yeah, 2.
Right, okay, how about we do number 1 and number 2, I guess, or something, so. the clear- Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Then I won't have,
Well, hang on, Mr. Adams, do you have them marked out there, like field 1 one field too? Because are they both considered softball fields, or what do you got out there for?
They go by a bunch of different names.
Yeah.
Top field, middle field, some have a name.
So you got Marion Park and you got Strawberry Lake is what I'm assuming?
Fields out at Marion Park.
Oh, we do?
We got the new one that we put up, and then the
Okay.
one at the top. So
It's-
we gotta have some type of.
Yeah, just some clarification, that's all.
Yeah,
It looks
we've been
redundant.
talking with them for a minute here that their invoices are not clear to what work is being done on what field.
Yeah, and especially coming from, yeah.
Thanks. Page 3, major and local streets. I'm looking at both asphalt entries, 470, 73, 941, 47. We're patching asphalt right now?
That's our storage and fighter facility, because we haul that in, that's in our shop right now, stored ready to go.
Cold patch.
Cold
Okay.
patching. And then next we're out in this weather. I mean, some nice days like this, we're all trying to get them.
Awesome. Great explanation. Moving on. Page, I believe it's 5. Under utility fund, transmission and distribution. Looking at the 3-phase pad mount and a 3-phase, well, 2 3-phase pad mounts, one for $10,124.65, the other for $11,584.65. What is that?
So the one is for ERA, for a brand new EV charger that they're putting in. And the other one is a replacement for one that blew up about a year ago out at Evergreen.
And whose responsibility is that?
So the one for ERA is going to be charged to them for the project. And then the one that blew up out at Evergreen is our responsibility.
So the without, okay.
So you will see-
Can that be an insurance claim? The one at Evergreen?
Actually, I don't think so. I don't think that's how our stuff works. It wasn't equated to any lightning strike or anything like that.
Okay, so not disaster.
It just failed. That happens. It's just the way those things are. And you will see an invoice when the project is complete that will reimburse us for the one going to Arrow.
Okay, thank you. Electric hydro plant, last item. Continued stream gauging on Sturgeon. United States Geological, $6,780.
That's a
We gotta do it.
No, I understand. How often do we pay that?
every year.
So that's not a full payment. It's about $27,000 to maintain.
I think that's number 1 on the agenda when I get to DC, by the way.
Yeah, so I think they must bill us quarterly. It's
Quarterly
about
payment.
27
Wow.
to maintain the 2 stream gauges. Yeah, it's good business.
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you. Moving on, page 6, water fund. So I see the Oakrest leak here for 28-25. Can we just get the final, overall explanation of what happened with the water leak on Oakrest Drive and what we're doing for it not to happen again since it happened, 2 years in a row or 2 out of 3?
Different spots.
I'll give you the explanation.
If you want one now, or do you want us to provide you one
Right,
in writing?
your choice.
Oh, you're gonna provide us one later?
I can give you one in writing, or I can explain to you what it's.
Writing's fine. It's fine.
So on the first one that happened in March or April of last year, that was related to lightning hitting the area. So that struck our continuity strap and blew out a hole in the pipe, water shot out of the ground. Related to that, 15 feet down farther, we had a pitted pipe in the same thing in that area caused by the lightning electrolysis going like Morse code down the pipe, bing, 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 bing. So we had another hole developed, 2.5 inch, 3 inch hole in the pipe, and it blew apart. Is it gonna happen again? Looking at the pipe that we seen in the area, we think we have the leak. It could be up farther back, I don't know, it's on ledge, we got hit by lightning out there. Can you go and say definitively? No, but seeing what I've seen since I've been here long enough, that's lightning hitting the ground causing continuity.
How deep is that, Dave? Was it?
We're probably 5.5, 6 feet deep, right on rock.
Are we gonna go back in there, or is it fixed now?
It's fixed right now.
So I wonder if we should have went in with some non-destructive testing and had somebody run something down there, just to.
Well, we're running 130 pounds of pressure on the pipe all the time, and we didn't see anything leaking back down the pipe at us. The last time we buttoned it up and we fixed it all, there was nothing. We had a lot of groundwater at the time, but catastrophic failure of the pipe, 550,000 gallons of water come out in 7.5 hours.
Yeah. How close were we to,
3.5 feet from empty.
from empty?
but that was a glitch in the system at the same time. All the alarm system that dials us out, gives us a call, shut off, nothing came on, the pumps didn't come on. The last call I got, the text I got, message was low level alarm, LLA, so low alarm. So that's when we started scrambling to figure out why are we out of water, what's going on, and then we were able to find a leak.
So
Isolate it, fix it,
additional lightning strikes could cause the same problem?
and that pipe was 1997 put in the ground. So that's really new pipe, that's the issue. I don't know why, but it is. We had our vendor come in, he was up and brought us with an extra stick of pipe because there's a 10-inch piece of pipe in our yard in case this happens because it's an odd-sized pipe, but he said the same thing, he's seen it, that's the only thing he can tell you is rocks. Mix it up pipe, lightning strike, cause that to arc, weak the pipe, make a weakness, and then blows out the concrete liner, and it lets you major water.
Thanks, Dave. I have nothing else.
Mayor?
On page 3 of 8, under Norway Fire Department, the first one, it says MERS retirement, municipal employee retirement 124. I don't remember ever seeing MERS come out of that fund before.
I'll have to check on that one. I can't speak.
No, I never seen it. Okay. And then on 4 of 8, let's see, at the bottom, HP steel tank wet dry vac with cart, $226.99. I was wondering what we got that for. I'm assuming the dam. And then Hubble dual mount ceiling fans for $349. And then you get to the next page, it says for Amazon, 2 dual mount ceiling fans for $806.87. And then we got electric pressure washer shampoo, $632.91. I was wondering if we're getting into the cleaning service or?
It is actually for us. So the ceiling fans are for the shop. So we were up there doing some work on the ceiling, and it's like 80 degrees up there because it's just a radiant heat. So there was fans back in the day that have been operational years. So we put fans up there to get the heat down. Figure we could save on some money by just getting the heat away from the ceiling. The pressure washer is specifically for the shop for maintaining the fleet. Dan and I have talked about it, and we want to be able to, when the trucks come in every night, we want to have the trucks clean. We've got an awful lot of expensive equipment there that we need to get the salt off of. So that's what that's for. What was the other thing? Well, the shop vac. That shop vac is for the shop. We had one. Unfortunately, it got plugged into 208, and it didn't like 208. So the shop vac was thrown. So we got a new one. But yeah.
And I got one more for you, Scott. Under professional service, under hydro plant, I see we got immediate hunt, professional service, Sturgeon Falls, $1,435.50. I was wondering, did we go out of the window? What happened there?
No, so what they've been doing is they've been billing us. So we have our annual contract, and rather than billing us all at once, they've been billing us monthly for the annual contract. And some of that was for our annual requirement, our annual FERC license. You're going to see a bigger bill this month because we did the whole annual report. But I've seen where they've been billing, maybe it's not monthly, but it's been like quarterly.
Yeah, but what if we don't use it?
We have been using it.
Yeah, but I mean, what if we didn't?
What if we,
I mean, if we use it, I don't mind getting billed for it, but I don't think we should get billed ahead.
no, so there is hours associated with it. There is labors. I can get you the invoice,
Okay.
but they are actually assigning hours to that time. So every month I'm in contact with them of some sort. I can get that for you though.
All right, thank you.
Scott, I have just a recommendation. So when you buy fans and stuff like that, kind of like what I asked with Rick of the shop, when you're replacing things, give us a little bit more detail, like it's on truck number 3. Okay, so that way, okay, the 2 fans were office 1, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Just so we know, if come in the future, well, how can we just got them in there, so
Right.
we have some of the little more breakdown to that.
Yeah, and if you're gonna buy ceiling fans and pressure washers, I mean, some of that stuff is getting up.
It's adding
Some
up.
closer number, I wanna see a couple bids on that.
It's adding up. I'm assuming it's out of the budget.
You want to see bid what?
I'm assuming that this stuff was outside the budget.
Outside
No, it's just in our
probably a-
maintenance, building maintenance budget. We have another one coming for Unit 4's building as well. We had several heaters go bad in there, same thing, radiant heat. You get up by the ceiling, it's like 100 degrees up there, and we're just wasting all the heat, so we put some fans in and get that heat down.
And
So
I mean,
that makes sense.
in an instance that you just have to go get it, I don't have a problem with that, but other times, I would like to see a couple bids, that's all.
Yeah, we're in a maintenance mode right now, that's why you're seeing a lot of these smaller invoices coming out.
That's all I have.
All right, can we get a motion?
That's not the right one. Yeah, it is. I'll make a motion to approve manifest 2024-03 in the amount of $439,080.91.
Support.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Answers to the previous manifest questions? We have none. Public comment? Anyone in attendance wishing to address the council on any item on interest shall do so at the podium, state your name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. We have nothing. Public comment on the agenda item? Anyone in attendance wishing to address the council on an agenda item only shall do so at the podium, state your name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes. None. Appointments, announcements, presentations, collision. Item number 1, planning commission appointment.
So you have the planning commission did a recommendation to approve Corky DeBroke. Is that how you say it, Corky, your last name, DeBroke? Who's here in attendance. He was present at that planning commission meeting. Jeff Morrow was also present at the meeting as a representative of the planning commission. They did have a recommendation to have council appoint him to the planning commission. His application is in your packet.
I've seen it.
If you'd like to hear anything, Corky, Mr. Jeff was also present, but
Good to go, yeah. Excellent application. We do have another interested party that we want to have come to the planning commission and talk to us before. He's a recent new transplant to Norway. It's only been over about a month, so we just wanted to talk to him a little bit. So hopefully we can fill it.
The more we can get, the better.
Yeah. Thank you for applying, Corky.
And thank you. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Move on to the second national items. Item number 2, Jason McGee Museum. Director pay increase. Mr. Stone?
So the board director approached me about increasing the pay for the museum director. Kind of had a conversation with him. It's a sort of an unusual way that their finances work. We do set their budget. We do provide them a donation of $2,000, and then we pay for their utilities. The majority of their revenue is self-funded through memberships and other donations. So when he says in a sense that it's not really the taxpayer dollars paying for the director's salary, in the sense that it's kind of correct. But we do have the museum director's salary hourly pay in our non-union pay rate resolution. Therefore, if we would like an increase from 15 to 1750, we do have to amend the current non-union pay resolution to do so. You know, I have no issue with it. Again, it's not really the revenue for that. They have a revenue for that. They have a really, actually, Freddie, you on that? You said on that.
Yes.
Their fund balance is very healthy. This won't have an impact necessarily on their budget overall. The one thing I would say going forward, and I told them they need to be more involved with us in their budget, because we just haven't had a lot of conversation with them directly during the budget. We just kind of set their budget based on previous years, not knowing if they're going to do any projects. And so we do want to have that accounted for, so I don't have to do a budget amendment later on in the year. I don't suspect that this will cause a budget amendment on its own. It's only $300 total through the rest of the year. So if the council wishes, I do have a resolution to amend the previous resolution for non-union rates to increase that museum director pay from 15 to 17.50.
Brett, what was the thought? What was the thought behind it?
Just the guy that's there now, they have a new director, and he's doing a good job down there, we just want to kind of give him some incentive.
Sounds good.
I'll make a motion amending, Resolution 2023-12, City of Norway pay rate for non-union employees for fiscal year 2023-24, changing the museum director from $15 to $17.50 per hour.
Support.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Landini,
Yes.
Mr. Moraro,
Yes.
Mr. Pop.
Yes.
And, to just, piggyback on you a little bit, Dan, they do the partners, donations, membership, the $2,000 that we give them annually is, not even going to that whatsoever, so it's not taxed out.
Yeah, and I read that in here too.
Item number 3, Norway Diamonds and the Mr. Tobin and Mr. Adams.
Well, I had, I guess the conversation for a while now has been having the Diamonds be more involved with the city and more communication and be more involved in the Park and Recs Committee. So I had Tony present this end of year review to them first, and asked them to present it to council now. Tony is also now the liaison for the school. So we have a regular representative for the Diamonds through the school on the Parks and Rec Committee. So Tony is here to present their end of year review.
You can come up to the podium.
I don't need the microphone. Good evening. Thanks for having me. Like Dan said, this has been in the works for a while. So I put something together late last year. Some of you may be very familiar with the information on it, some of you may not. So it might be new, it might be a review, but so what the overview of my presentation today is what we are, who we are, what we do, recent projects, current projects, future projects. We did include financial information and then projects to consider, which I brought up at Parks and Rec, and of course with you as well. If there's something you think we should think about, we'll obviously take that into consideration. So that's what I'm going to be speaking about with you for a few minutes. What we are, we're a nonprofit group, a 501c3. We were able to get that status a few years ago. And basically why we did that is because we wanted to separate the money at Merriam Park from Little League. Anything that's under Little League's name is theirs. So we were able, Jim Ball did that years ago, that was genius. So pretty much anything out at Merriam Park is Norway's, which was pretty key. And then the 501c3 gave us another layer of security, safety, protection, whatever it might be. How do we see ourselves? We oversee the park. We are caretakers. We do not own it. It is not ours. So that's how I see our role. We are a bridge to the city. Parks and Rec, David Ball for years. Norway Vulcan Area Schools, obviously with the high school teams participating there. All of the Little League teams from 6 years old, T-ball, I guess I should go all the way to T-ball. 4 or 5 years old, all the way up to 19 years old. American Legion, which we brought back to Norway last summer. And then, of course, the different travel groups out there. So that's what we are, who we are. I'm the president of that organization for the time being. Scott Sternhagen is the vice president. Brett By is the treasurer. Brandon Baldwin, the secretary. Ty Halvis is concessions, and this may change, fluctuate this year. And I put an asterisk because I want to acknowledge Amanda Meneghini's contributions. She took over our advertising last year, and I'm hoping to make her a voting member of our board for all the great work that she did. We are, and I can't name everybody else, but basically we are a small army of very passionate volunteers, and as you will see throughout the pictures, you'll see volunteers, and in those pictures often you will see us using our own equipment, our own resources. Nobody is making money for themselves. We're probably, as Mr. Van Gass tells me, we're spending a lot of our own
Money. It's been like that for years.
Right. What we do, we maintain the parts of the park, the baseball fields, softball fields that we can. We try to improve where we can. We supplement in areas that we are needed. In some places we supplant, right? There isn't any funding, the city can't do it, Little League isn't gonna do it, whatever, so we step forth, take charge of that. We do seek grants, and we do accept donations. We are working much closer with the city of Norway through the contract that we established, and over the last year or so, the amount of communication has gone up tremendously, which I think is positive
That is a
for
good thing.
both. It's good for the city, it's also good for us. It's a good thing for our group too. And we support Norway area baseball and softball. Did you skip one, Dan? Recent projects, I went back a couple years just because this is a first time presentation. We have pretty much every scoreboard out there is relatively new or close to brand new. So all of that's been updated. We updated the sound system on the Mike Molly field, the big field, this last spring. Dirt is a constant out there. Infield care never ends. We added batting cage concrete on the middle. That would be the batting cage between the middle field and the big field. That was added. Recently, the state tournament painted the shed, the bathroom area, restrooms were repainted. What else? We're constantly working on mounds. We've rebuilt two of the mounds, the two mounds that are out there. The bleachers were fixed a few years ago through some volunteer work and some leftover resources from the city.
And we got some new ones too.
The topping of the bleachers were redone, flooring in the press box, the top field, middle field, that was redone along with countertops. We have 4 relatively new dugout benches now in the top field and the middle field. And we added bullpen mounds outside of the fence on the big field a couple of years ago. So that's where some of the recent projects come in. Current projects, if you've been out to Marion Park recently, our big project is new dugouts on the big field, Mike Molly Field. First base dugout, visitors dugout is 32 by 12. It also has an 8-foot by 12-foot storage built into it, and then the home dugout closest to the golf course is 40 by 12, so they're symmetrical. They look pretty similar, and then we have an 8-foot by 12-foot extension pad off of the home dugout.
Is that the field? I'm not to interrupt you. Is that the field?
Go ahead,
The new field? Is that the new field?
No, that's the big field.
The lower field?
Yeah,
By the driving range.
by the driving range.
Okay.
Yeah, so please feel free if you have a question. I'm used to stopping and starting, so feel free. And then we have some fencing things that are going to have to happen. And then I'm working with Larry Larson right now to see where that's going to go. So that's the big one. We are going to have to add benches. We do have about 2 tons of dirt out there right now, at probably a little bit more. We brought in 2 tons of dirt this fall. So we will have infield prep starting soon, hopefully. We've decided to add field conditioner to the big field. That's the surface amendments. We're going to see how that goes, and our plan is, if we like it, if it works well, we're going to continue to add those throughout the park. Everything's been winterized, so right now, another month or so, it'll be time to get ready, spring launch, get the fields ready for baseball and softball.
Did we ever get, dugouts for the new field?
No.
It's coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew I went out last year and we didn't have them, but I didn't know.
Right. Future projects, wish list, well, future projects are always gonna include dirt, they're always gonna include mounds. Warning tracks, there was a warning track on the big field at one time. That's on my wish list to bring that back, at least in the infield part. Another one of my wish lists, second concession stand down to service the new field and the big field. We don't lose, but we lose an opportunity to generate money on the big field. And this last spring, summer, we had, in my opinion, we had some pretty big crowds this year as opposed to past years. We're just not generating money on that end of the park. Press box at Mike Molly Field on Big Field, that would be something that
Is
we'll
that the same
eventually
one
look
still
into.
there, Tony?
What's that?
Is that the same one that's been there?
Yeah, it's starting to lean. Infield conditioner, top and middle fields, I brought that up. I'm guessing that's going to happen here. Over time, we just didn't want to do it all at once. So our financials, our beginning balance of January 2023, we had $26,728.42. As of December of 2023, our balance was $37,838.83. I wanted to make note that that includes donations that are earmarked for projects. So if we exclude that money that's already earmarked, we have a running balance, an active balance of $22,847.69.
And is that earmark money going towards the project?
The dugouts, yeah. And that's coming up.
What's the balance for?
What's that?
What's your balance going to be used for?
Used for? Well, we have normally, if you looked at about the last 10 years, we've been anywhere from $8,000 to $14,000. Sometimes we beefed it up. We knew we wanted to buy scoreboards. We had the state tournament, which ballooned us higher than normal. And right now we're looking at that second concession stand, trying to keep enough money there if the opportunity came to add that to the park. Yeah.
The school's also involved with that too, correct? With paying for some of the scoreboards?
The big field, yeah, the big field and then the new field, there were multiple parties that contributed to that. The school being one of them, the athletic booster club being one of them. The 1 year we ran it up a little bit higher than normal was when we bought the middle field and top field.
Yeah.
We saved for that, so we had the money to pay for it because we knew it was becoming time. So that balance is where it is. Normally it would be somewhere around 10 or 12 because we have startup costs, especially in the concession stand. And then, you know, what needs to be replaced, what do the kids need? Teams come to us for equipment, things like that. So a normal budget over the last 10 years, a normal balance would be 10 to 14, I would say. It's higher now because we are hoping to add that to the other part of the park so we can generate money. I have hosted tournaments and it's hard because we don't make money on it, where other places, right, they have a concession stand there, it generates a whole lot more money. As you're gonna see in our revenue, the concession stand's a huge part of where we
Can
can
you
move.
just tell them, like, I guess the reason why they're looking at that second one is that the feeling is people that are down at that field just do not seem to be going up
They don't.
to the other, the
Not-
current concession to buy things.
Right.
And if it was down further, they feel that they would then be able to actually sell.
We ran high school tournaments years ago where we tried, they'll just take a short walk, right? And no.
And especially if it's elderly people too.
Right.
But
So
I know
that's,
when we played down there, we always brought our pop or
Right.
whatever with us.
right,
You don't want to miss part of the game.
right. So that's a reason why that number is higher. Revenue, we had total revenue of $48,421 for 2023. Again, if we subtract the donations that were donated to a specific project, we had $28,421 in revenue, of actual revenue from out at the park. So how is that revenue created? 60% roughly is through concessions, and 40% of it is the advertising that we do on the fences, as you can see in the picture. So those percentages do not include the one-time donations last year. Our expenditures, our total expenditures were $37,310.59. Again, if you take out the project, our expenditures were $27,301.73 for last year. Categories in terms of expenditures, 49% into the concession stand. Cost of food is not cheap. Field maintenance equipment was about 37% of our expenditures, and advertising was 14%. There's a cost to the material of the signs. And we had a major overhaul, so we switched out almost all the signs from aluminum or wood, the wood ones that were old, and now we have a mesh banner, which really held up. Really held up last year. They're in great shape, and it doesn't take an army of people to get them down. So actually, well, I'll talk about that when we look at the future. Specifically, I've mentioned the dugout project enough, so what happened there? We had a private donation of $10,000. That is what spurred us to take on the project. It was a wish. It was the dugouts are rotting kind of thing. They're a little small for kids of high school age. Try putting 24 people in those in the old dugouts.
Is there a reason why we went to do them before we did the new field?
Yeah, that donation.
And that's what they wanted it towards?
Yes.
Okay.
That was, yes. So they came to us and said, I'll donate X amount of dollars towards new dugouts to the Mike Molly field. All right, well now we've got 10 grand. That gets us, right? Okay, so we applied for and we received $10,000 from the bracket fund. That got us to 20. The diamonds, we have earmarked $5,000 for what our estimate is of 25, but if we do go over, the diamonds will kick it, the difference in terms of the expected estimate. So our expenditures so far, as of December, on the new dugout project was a little over 10 grand. But we will be ordering metal soon. We still have benches to put in. And then, as I said, there's going to be, the fencing is going to come in higher than we thought. There's going to be some fencing that's got to occur.
Would the bracket fund be willing to give any type of donation for the softball?
I don't know. That I don't know.
You know, we have a little bit of money earmarked yet for that, or did we?
Yeah, people.
So we have, item number 5, we're gonna touch on dugouts.
If you want my personal guess on that, or observation, is, my guess is, the bracket fund contributed to the sound system, and they just contributed to this through our group. I don't know if there's another group.
I mean, we could always,
You know what I mean? Just so that it isn't the same group that they're giving the money to. You know what I mean?
Well, there's only one group that's basically in charge of what their diamonds, correct? Isn't that what we have that contract for? So it's gonna be, what are we gonna?
Well, can the bracket donate to the city?
I mean, it's still our facilities.
Right.
We can get any grant we want or ask for to do any project we feel is necessary.
I know that we're not going back to the bracket for a while. Right? We hit them up a couple times, so we're gonna lay low for a little while in terms of requesting grant money. So our revenue for 2024 concessions, I would expect that to continue to be our leading revenue source. I can't put a number on that. Depending on the amount of games, the weather, the tournaments, we're going to be hosting softball and baseball high school again. In terms of Little League tournaments, I'm not exactly sure what Scott Sternhagen has lined up, but Norway is a desired place to host, so I'm sure they'll get some. It won't be a state tournament. Advertising, our expectation is for profits to increase because we paid for a lot of the new signs last year, so this year it'll be more profit. Donations and grants, we're always open to those, to be determined. Currently, we are waiting on the Toro grant that we applied for last spring. We received an email late fall, early winter that they still hadn't decided on last spring. And we applied for the big one, the big field.
Mowers.
Not a mower, no.
Field machine.
This is the
Field
machine.
machine.
Yeah, this has got all the edging, the drag, $25,000 machine, you figure?
One of
25
those little
grand.
carts?
What's that?
What kind of machine?
Field machine, you ride on it, and it's got everything.
You know, for the dirt, the three-wheeler, that John Deere that's out there too.
That's what I'm, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm
Right.
picturing. Okay.
The John Deere's got some age on it.
Yeah.
We've more than got our money on that. Expenditures, our expenditures that we know of, obviously, will be concession stands, or the concession stand, field maintenance. We know a lot of that has been purchased ahead of time. The dirt we have, the paint I have in my basement, chalk, we get that as we need. Another new chalker, but other things will come up. So we'll be prepared for that. And then, of course, any requests that we get from the teams, the Little League teams, of Norway teams, and Vulcan. We do have a relationship with Vulcan, and they wanted me to bring that up. We do help Vulcan, the Vulcan field. We do have a relationship with, yes, so chalk, paint, things like that. We do work together.
Is that what the Lions Club, 'cause I know they used to, I think they donated money, but.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they'll, you know, we're all the same people, so, hey.
Does the township support that?
What's that?
Does Norway Township support that?
Heavily. Yeah, they've got new dugouts, new infield. It looks really good out there. It does.
What about the Loretto field, is it the same time?
That we are not associated
Involved?
with,
Okay.
no.
But they have redone that field over there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen it.
Who's they?
Waseda?
Waseda.
Township or just people volunteering to do it? Okay, so support, that's awesome.
And see how this gets connected, and that's tough, because they come, you know, they built that, and I was president at the time of Little League, and they wanted games there, right? We've got this field in Loretto, and, you know, and I love Loretto, I have a lot of time in that area growing up. But if I'm moving games out of Norway, we're losing revenue at Marion Park, right? Especially the younger ages. I mean, if you've been out there, right, it's packed. So it's hard to give those games up and lose the money, the revenue that comes from. So it gets a little dicey from time to time. Projects, once we get past the dugout and the infield stuff on the big field, we'll see where we go. I'm sure something will come up within the group or from Parks and Rec or from you. You know, we'd like you to start thinking about this, but there isn't anything major on the three fields left to do at this point. So as we wrap up, do you have any projects? I'm sure you might have some questions. What would you like us to consider? And I know one of them.
Yeah, I would like to see that softball field finished at some point. And it's you know, I went out there for my nieces and that, and the kids playing, you know, no dugout, especially the young ones are all over, no shade, you know.
Right.
And not that they can't survive it, but it would.
No, the plan is that we'd be in there already, right? We've got that beautiful scoreboard, and the school contributed to that. They're starting to ask questions, right? That sort of thing. I know the construction on the new dugouts at the other field across the road looks bad, right? There were dugouts here, but now, and some of you already knew this, but now you know that's why that happened.
And I'm glad you came here.
Right.
This is the first thing I would do if I were out there. Well,
Right.
really, we invested all this money in this
Right.
softball field,
Yeah.
and you're putting on that.
So and as Brett and I have talked quite a bit, and Dan, there needs to be some movement on that field, and we have members in our group too that I mean, I look at it every day in the spring and summer, and something's gotta happen. We're gonna have to put our minds together and get it across the finish line.
So we have an idea here for you guys tonight.
Right.
I like what you guys got going on up there. Changes, I don't know if you're still considering blocking that road off.
Well, that would be your concession stand area in
Yeah,
the future.
but yeah, absolutely.
As far as through driving, the only time it's open is now.
Yeah,
That can be eliminated anytime you want. The cul-de-sac can be put there.
just for safety reasons.
We do not need anybody
Have to be-
driving through there. You have enough access to the golf course.
Yeah,
It would keep it away from the kids, because sometimes, you're right, sometimes somebody's gonna hit a kid,
yeah.
because they're running between cars. And that's why you see that locked off. We lock that off as soon as they start practicing, that gets locked, that's done. No
The
through-
parking lot is helped too.
Right,
You know, I mean, just
Yeah.
people aren't lining up everywhere, you know,
Right.
pulling into the
right.
random areas of the
And
park.
that is the first conversation we have when we move from the gym to Merriam Park.
Yeah.
And they're kids, but the conversation is, you do not want that on you,
Yeah.
right? Because you're trying to get out of here quicker, slow it down, right? They're kids, and there's kids running, and there's kids driving, and it's.
Is there still the discussion on the middle field where some of the people park, is that still gonna be taken away from parking? Remember when we first talked about that, putting that concession stand in between?
If you go down by the lower
People
field,
stop driving
I
over
don't know,
pipes and everything else.
if that would be all, like you said, once those dugouts, we get the dugouts and everything's coming forward, and you guys wanna go that route, you can block that off anytime you want. And then you put picnic tables down your road,
Yeah,
and put, something for people to sit and watch, put something there. That's when you can do that,
I think we
But
certainly want
it's gotta be
to
looked
keep
at.
the gates closed and keep that people driving through it.
no, this is next to the field.
Oh,
People
but
are
when
right
it's-
next to the field, right next to the bathrooms.
Oh.
You can, anytime you wanna put up a partial fence, you can just
Why not, we
sit,
talked about just locking it up and put like a pavilion or something right there.
something.
Something right there to stop the people from going over to all the pipes that we have going up and everything else right there.
Yes,
That's kind of a hazard too.
And I'm
That
sure
parking
that-
lot out there
no.
for a reason.
A lot of older people must be using them spots, right? And
Well,
the thing
it's-
is,
it's whoever gets there
it's
first.
like, you know,
That's
no
parent who's
place-
got a kid practice.
And you will get that complaint.
It's
So
not,
I'm
it's
getting
not
that
just
complaint
that.
that now the older people who can't walk and that there's not as much parking for that.
Well, they're gonna complain too if that it gets cut off in between the fields.
Oh, yeah.
When we put some handicap with
One
it.
thing that the big thing I'd like to see is, I've never seen this contract that was signed and everything between everybody, between the city and, the Diamonds. A thing I'd like to see would be discussed would be maybe like during the summer months, that the utility don't pay. Because that air conditioner and those things, if you're making money off, I understand money's going back into the community, stuff like that, but at least electric, because like, last year, the air conditioner was going until November, and that.
Yeah, that kind of thing, yeah, that shouldn't happen, whether it's between our people or the Diamonds, that's something that should be looked at.
Yeah, but if it's something like that, just something kickback, I understand that they're doing all the work, they are the ones generating money, and things like that.
Yeah, we can look at
Maybe
that.
the power bill, for that.
Absolutely.
And I can send you guys the agreement, I think we did review that with council.
Yeah, I signed it, I remember signing it.
Yeah, it was,
I didn't see it.
but yeah, I can send it.
You might not have been here that night or something.
Yeah, to piggyback on Scott's comments, I've been here since the beginning of this, and I remember when communication between the city and Diamonds was non-existent. So I'm very happy that we have some oversight for the taxpayers and all. We have this communication, Tony. I commend you for that. Dan, getting this contract in place. My only comment would be, I would like to see the advertising revenue be earmarked for improvements and maintenance. Because basically, there's no advertising with our facilities. So I'd like to see, again, you can use it as your discretion, but I would like to see it earmarked for projects and maintenance, my opinion.
Well, that's the
advertising
majority of what we do.
Yeah, correct. But I understand,
Yeah.
there's equipment, there's uniforms, there's this and that. What I'm saying, the advertising piece, I would like to see that added, amended to the contract where those monies, because those are easily tracked for
Yep.
you, right? And we can see that number, and that definitely goes back to projects handy, your dugouts, your bleachers, and then of course,
Yep.
field maintenance.
Yep.
projects
You're
there.
saying it's not like buying the teams their equipment.
Correct. I would like to see the advertising, knowing that money's always gonna be there for improvements,
projects.
and capital projects, and maintenance of the existing facilities.
Yeah, we can easily have that discussion.
Yeah, and again, not that we want to get into your business, where you
No.
think it's best spent is great.
No.
Just that, I would like to see that happen personally.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's,
think something like that and the parking issue, I think, Parks and Rec is a good place to start.
and there was always a level of communication. Sometimes it got lost in translation. So the council was speaking to the city manager, right? We were speaking to the city manager, and sometimes
We
we
understand.
didn't always make it, right? So it's gotten better. We have no problem doing this. I mean,
We-
we're not trying to.
Oh, no, we know. I think I speak for all of us, we appreciate what you volunteers do, the passion, the hard work, the support, and we want to continue to help you.
Well-
We just have to take care of the taxpayers.
We're fortunate that we have, in our city, we have the cities willing to do a lot of, there's a lot of things we can't do. David knows this, right? So,
What are you gonna do once David leaves?
I don't know.
Beat up the,
Oh, my father-in-law's retired now, so
Beat up the next
he's looking
guy.
for things, but you know what I mean? There's this, and I go to a lot of places, I go to a lot of parks, and there's really bad ones,
yeah.
and then there's beautiful ones, and we're closer to the beautiful than we are, way closer to the beautiful than the bad. So,
Again, I think I speak for us all saying we're all very proud of Marion Park and what's out there. We're very proud of that state tournament and the comments we've got back on it. So again, it's nothing but positives. I just wanted to bring up that advertising resume. I think it gives us an advertising revenue, gives us a nice basis for improvements every year and maintenance,
Yep.
needed maintenance.
and that, absolutely, we can discuss that, put it in,
Do us this favor, if possible, I know it's all weather dependent, but please let us know, or communicating through Dan or
Yes.
whoever, let us know when the spring cleanup is, work B, let us know, so we can have an opportunity to come up there,
okay?
just to take some pictures.
We're gonna get some,
Are you up for election?
we're gonna get some PR, we're gonna get some real good PR.
You don't live in the city.
I know.
It's not election year.
Yeah, I can't vote for you. No,
How
I-
many, how many times have you looked at Facebook, you're like, holy crap, they were out there doing that, and I was just sitting on my butt today. I'm not saying it happens every time.
Yeah, well, sometimes.
Let me know.
it's-
Let us know.
Sometimes it's spontaneous.
That's
You know
what
I
I,
mean?
and that's what I said, I understand that.
But,
Holy cow. we got-
absolutely, there's,
You can text me if it's spontaneous, I can let you guys.
Yeah,
Right.
just get it.
and sometimes, to be honest with you, you get, in these positions, you kind of get tired of asking people to help,
Sure.
right?
That's why I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To let us
So
know.
thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
No problem.
So I have a motion on, Norway Diamonds. Item number 4, Dickinson County Grant, Water System Control Project.
So this was tabled at the last meeting, to get some more clarity on the scope. I did have Jesse from FPS line up to come tonight. I kind of pulled plug on that in light of, we had to do a software update in the SCADA, and Scott and Dave speak more to this, but the update is specifically rendered very old equipment in the well house unusable. So my point is, it's going to be, for this, a more comprehensive project in light of some new things that have arose in the last couple of days. We wanted to sit down and go through this again, because the original go-ahead, they had it using the current SCADA system inside, it no longer. So we're gonna go back, do a little more comprehensive project on this, and then bring it back again, if that's okay with.
What's that gonna cost us, David?
Right now, we're gonna get some numbers. What Dan has mentioned, so we have touch screens to operate our wells right now currently. They're 12 to 15 years old. We don't have enough memory space to run the new programs. So, on the SCADA system. So, the touch screens are gonna become obsolete. We're gonna look at what the new touch screen looks like. We'll get costs on that, or we go back to the visual computer.
Just a
monitor.
PC.
A PC monitor sitting on a desk, which is probably what we're or more. I don't have the numbers for the PC yet. I don't know, what are you thinking? I
Well, the
think
touchscreens should be driven by the PCs. The touchscreens should be driven by the PCs.
Our touch screens are all in one.
all in one.
So
Yeah, well, that's the
I'm
problem.
gonna talk about
Yeah.
something that's way over the top of my head, but apparently the touch screens, they got a 32-bit, and the
You know,
Ignition 8 only supports 64. Whatever that means,
Yeah.
I don't know, but.
So we don't have enough space. We can't run any program.
So, just basically, there's more to this potential project now. Luckily, again, this project is coming from a grant of $100,000. So we do have room to do a better comprehensive project for this.
Yeah, we've been working on this for a while too.
Yeah.
Well, the first time we brought it was that last meeting, we have been discussing kind of the meters. at the
No,
well.
David and them came in and asked what projects we thought should be done.
Oh, yeah, yes, yeah, we went over a bunch of different projects. Yeah, wow.
I think we can go back on that. Then we got hit by lightning at the tank up there, and it took out the whole SCADA system. So we upgraded our SCADA system now through the insurance of what, 12, 15, 20,000, I believe, somewhere in that ballpark. So the additional, we were gonna change out our wellhead meters, which was our plan to do, because our wellhead meters are been in for 15 years. We're gonna put in a new, similar to our water meters that we have at Venturi. There's no moving parts inside the water.
Make sure we get that accurate.
And
flow.
accurate, and have a better read, and have a better grip of what we're pumping. But in light of changing the system, do we need touch screens? I don't think we do. We don't need to touch the screen, hit the pump, turn the pump on, put it what you want. No, we can do that on a computer, on the
Can you
desk.
hook that to your phone too, like?
You can. I don't have it to my phone. I don't think it's necessary to have that with me. I mean, if you got, what we need is a better alarming system, which is we're gonna discuss in this. We're gonna have a phone system, so when we go out and lose all our data or our communications, it keeps calling me till I physically get up, because I only got one ping that night saying that we had an issue. I didn't get the next one till 6 in the morning. So from midnight till 6 in the morning, we were running nothing. It should be calling me, so physically I have to go, okay, we have an alarm that's,
Why isn't it like the electric department, that one?
That's what we're at.
they
That's
have,
part of the conversation, so they don't have a sense phone.
yes,
Oh,
And
is
that's-
that what it is?
yes.
Sense phones are backup.
Cause I was like, I even remember.
Yeah, that thing will not leave you alone.
No, you're getting.
Yeah,
And
so
that's what we
they
need. And that's what we're looking at, just because of the glitch happened, because I got Scott, I said, what's going on? He looked in the system, he said, they found it. And this happened, a freak thing at the same time, we had a major leak. Because that major leak, all the pumps should have been able to keep up with the leak at that time. We should have lost water, but not running almost empty. You know, we should have been able to keep filling, so.
So between the ignition
Yeah,
software
everything.
that I met with Scott's team and Scott, and that kind of opened up a whole other issues that could be part of this larger comprehensive scope of the project. So that was kind of our plan here. So if that's okay with council, we would like to table this, get a bigger plan together, and then present that at a later date.
Table same item again twice? Can we table same item twice, right?
On the table, sounds like withdrawing the.
I mean, that's really what I spoke to Candy earlier this afternoon about just saying, I don't think it's ready to go.
Sounds like this is a case of that this has been taking some time, we're kind of saving, instead of spending good money after bad,
Right.
that,
Yeah, add-ons to the project.
yeah, right, glass is half full
There's
kind
a lot
of
of
thing.
due diligence being done to this.
Yeah. So thank you.
So you don't, I mean, this is,
Don't say we're gonna do it next meeting.
you don't,
Just
yeah, I
like,
don't need
just don't do
to,
it.
yeah, you just take no action. And we'll
Let's bring it back on when it's ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, move on to item number 5, Lions Club grant, Marion Park and Softball Field Master Plan.
So this, I met with Corky Rook, as a representative of the Lions Club, and he told me that they are looking to donate to some community projects. We got a Parks and Rec committee meeting coming up in the next couple of days after that meeting, so we sat down to discuss potential projects. The softball field was one that was the focus of our discussion. So from the original softball field project, we have about 11,000 restricted remaining for Marion Park and or recreation. So essentially we have 11,000 that we could use, some completely restricted for that project. What we are kind of suggesting is looking at the dugouts. I'm looking at completing the 2 dugouts and possibly seeing if we have enough to realign the foul pole line and look at the fence line and the grading of the field. In your packet, I've kind of put in there the engineered drawings that Tony has for the other field. The feeling when we did this was that when we were going to do the softball field, we should do it in a similar look and fashion as the other field. I do believe, as Brett, you can speak to the size of the softball field dugouts. Are they smaller than?
Well, there's half the thousand, right?
So we figured, they're figuring 25 of those. I think we said, well, we thought 13 or so, maybe we could do. Correct. So between the dugouts and some of the other little bits that we think we need to correct on that softball field to make it playable, well, this is one of those options that I was going to present. The Lions Club asking for about 10,000 to complete this total project. Another separate idea came from the Planning Commission about asking for a donation from the Lions Club to help in our upcoming meeting do a master plan review. I don't know if that is the type of project that they're looking to fund. I think the softball field has a much better opportunity.
Well, it's visible.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I mean, Corky is here too if you want to ask him anything about.
You got Cork, you got 10 grand laying around, hope the Strata project?
I don't know if I don't.
It gets you one touchscreen.
Of course, yeah, if there's any other projects that council seems that was bid, we could also, we could work on that and present it. We just felt this was one that has been talked about since I started here. And no one's really sure where all the money was coming from to fix the problems and build the dugouts. And between what we have left,
Yeah, we paid for that, we weren't even done right.
Well, we would have more money, but a lot of that money was earmarked, which used for other stuff. It was not used just strictly for that softball field, when we earmarked it for that.
and I can provide a breakdown for that entire project. Parks and Rec went over that as well. So between what we have earmarked, restricted for Marion Park and Rec, and asking for a grant from the Lions Club, I think this is a good opportunity for us to complete that.
Some kind of signage, plaque, something on the dugout saying Lions Club, things like that.
Yep. So if this is a project council agrees with and would like me to pursue, I'm going to put together a little more comprehensive package with more pricing and estimates, and then I will go, and any of you are welcome to come with me to present to the Lions Club at their March meeting. So that's our idea.
So what do you need from us? You want us to vote on this?
Hold on, I'd like to add something before we talk about voting, and maybe, Mr. Carlson, maybe I'm overblowing this, but in my profession, we're keenly in tuned to Title IX, making sure what's provided for our men is also provided for our women. Are we talking about same facilities, sizes of dugouts, all that kind of stuff?
The concrete was poured last year, so I think the size is a little smaller, but I plan to use the same design and structure as what.
Aesthetics will be.
some crew, someone, we don't want it to look like, our girls have
Yeah, no.
the worst facility than our young men.
The pads were poured last year.
And I understand that.
It was to the other field,
Yeah.
the other size that they had down there.
And I know there's club donation, there's private donation, and I understand it's not like the city is choosing, we're gonna make this one, different than this one, just because.
We tend to follow the exact same.
Yeah.
Design, it's just gonna be a
Yeah.
little scaled down.
I just know as a municipality, equal opportunity, we wanna make sure that that we're abiding by all that.
And remember, that'll be a multi-purpose field. There will be
I understand that.
boys on that field too at times, younger age.
Yeah, Rick, thanks for bringing up the potential lawsuit, buddy. Thanks a lot, bud. Way to go.
Now, we are treating this field just as we are all the others.
So
that's
the-
we're using this design.
They are still to the original design of that softball field. The pads are, everything, when it was designed originally in 2016? 17. So it's all still to original plan. It's just the aesthetics of it. If they got blue dugouts, do you want to have blue dugouts?
We're gonna look to
So
see.
other than that, it's all pretty equal.
Thank you.
So from a motion, it would be more or less just saying, yes, this is the project that you would like me to package together and present to the Lions Club.
I'll make that motion.
I don't even know if you need to put the grant, I don't know if you need to put the dollar amount that I want to ask for. It's going to kind of be based on what we have currently. kind of what
Just like
our
grant
estimates
funding.
are of
Why
needing,
wouldn't it
But I probably would want to see that ask.
And just one thing I'd like to add, if we're gonna go towards this, I would like to let's get the bids in, if we have enough money, let's try to get this done, so the kids, you know what I mean? I know weather depending, but.
We will,
If we get the grant from the Lions, combine what we have, I would suspect we could.
we'll be really close.
So do we make that recommendation?
Grant, is this something we should recommend?
It's somewhat ceremonial, but I think it's a nice gesture to indicate the council's support for the city manager to seek this grant to finish off this baseball.
I'd like to recommend that city manager present to the Lion Clubs about the softball field project, requesting as much grant funding as possible.
Support.
Mr. Mangini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Drew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Item number 6, water department, water supply fluoridation.
So, this is something that you guys were made aware of that back in January or so of 22, that our ability to add fluoride to the water stopped working. It sounded like, David, you can speak better to it. It sounded like the chemical wasn't ventilated throughout the building and therefore destroyed a lot of the internal components. We were sent a letter December of this year stating that we needed to decide whether we were going to fix and continue to add fluoride to the water system, or an ordinance, I believe, they require from council stating that we were going to cease adding it to the water. Just kind of give you my thoughts, and you can ask some David questions. We'll have a little more information, but what I tried to provide was some basic information, facts on fluoride provided by from the state, and just from another website giving you some FAQs on pros and cons of fluoride. I also provided from the CDC. I just randomly selected places in the UP to see if they provided fluoride or not. What I found is it appears that the majority in our county do not. Looks like maybe like ones. The southern west counties in the UP do not too generally. Marquette, one of the Gagne, I believe they do, and then Gladstone, Escanaba do, and I found Newberry did not. So it appeared to be more no's than yeses. My kind of part in this as a city manager is I don't feel like it's my place to give you an opinion on adding something to our water. That would be a personal opinion, not necessarily a professional opinion. My professional opinion is if you want to continue to add it, we can find ways to do that. The cost is coming from the state, it's a wide range, but
You
their
think?
estimates per person is $1,400 to $8,400 a year for the chemical itself. It's $8,400 on the high side, and we want to add it, we can make that happen. We may have to look at small increases in rates to make sure we're not adding that chemical.
Question then.
Yeah.
So 25,000 would be needed to fix the system?
No. So
Grant up to.
we are still waiting on an estimate to fix that facility. The state has a grant up to $25,000 for upgrades that can help cover that. So I do not have an estimate. Whenever we can get an estimate, what it takes to fix it.
Shot in the dark, with
Okay,
25
so
grand covered?
currently, The building electrical has to be all replaced. So when we built the facility, this was put in 1991, 92, when we added fluoride to the city water supply. We had a grant, that's when this all came about. The building was built block, no ventilation, nothing. We were using a day tank, so we had 15-gallon tanks that we would dump in, when I started, we'd dump into a barrel, and it'd be open to the air in the building. Just a test. And that would be not vented. So the building was never designed for fluoridation. Nobody knew what the chemical and what was gonna happen. So between the conduit and the walls were all drywalled, and they used galvanized furring strips. They're gone, screws are gone, the walls are falling off. The system was made with piping, we put plastic in, but all the conduit was ran in tubing, metal tubing. Ate all the electrical wiring, ate the electrical panel. It even took out a transformer we have, because we have 480 volts down there running from the
And we put
building.
this stuff in our water. Perfect.
Yes, so in the form of going into the water, it's not harmful. Dealing with it day to day is harmful. It's an acid.
Why are we just being told this now when that happened, what, a few years ago?
Well, then we ran into the problem with COVID. Nobody would touch anything. The
But
state said,
why wasn't I being made aware of that? Because all of a sudden I get a letter from Eagle. I don't even know anything about it.
well, that'd be on my spot, because we had a discussion with Ray, what do you want to do? You know, before Dan came in, it wasn't it was going downhill, and then electrical short in the building, took all the power out. So, you know, we stopped completely, and then under that period, being an unmandated, it's not mandated by the state to put fluoride in the water. That is not part of the mandate. This is your option. The state says you don't have to, you know, it's up to you. That's what this comes down to.
I guess where I'm at, Dave, and Dan, is we have no, why is it, I mean, I get it, okay, thank you for making aware of it, but you don't have a clue what it's gonna cost for the equipment.
Right, and I didn't expect you guys to make a decision on that tonight, because I wasn't sure if we were gonna get the quote yet. So,
I would still like to see what it's gonna cost.
No, exactly, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
And so, I think it was last week or week before, I saw a ranking for water supplies in UP, and we weren't even in the top 20.
As in,
And at one time, we were right up there. Would that be because of this fluoride, because we are no longer having this?
as in quality of the water
I
supply?
can't remember the quality of the water and everything else and what we had.
I don't know if that would be on
It was
our,
on 360, I can't remember.
is that based on our rates compared to other rates?
Could be.
No, it was the water. It was the water itself. Like the amount of fluoride, one of the things that people put in, you know, that they're putting.
Well,
We
basically, our
weren't
water,
in the top 20 anymore.
our water, we don't have to put anything in our water. I mean, that's what, we're fortunate, we don't run samples bad or get, you know, back T samples, because then you chlorinate, some places chlorinate water, we don't. Fluoride is just the benefit is for the children to a certain
I
age.
never remember that when I had.
To a
kids
certain
at the
age.
hospital, at the doctor's always right for
Right.
water.
Exactly. Every time I went to the
Right.
dentist, they would say to us, you
It's-
don't need fluoride, and always got
Right.
plenty of it.
But it's up to that point, and after that point, it doesn't do anything for the adults or anything like that.
I don't
In
know
the
if
state, according to what you see, no, because your teeth are better and stronger, you know.
Not what I read, but that's okay.
But, you know, I haven't heard that and it's there are certain age of kids, and that was what I've been told. So.
so I've been in part of communities that hadn't added fluoride and the discussion has come up to add it. Those communities were absolutely against it. I've been in communities that absolutely wanted it. It is not mandated. I'm not going to speak on its benefit or not. It's not my place to speak on the science of it. But I did know that there's a possibility we weren't going to have a quote, but I did want to at least start the conversation because I would anticipate having, or we will have, an idea of the cost of replacing the next council meeting. So if tonight you actually just said, regardless, we don't want it, then I would bring forth an ordinance in the next meeting saying we won't. If you're not sure, then
I'm not there
we're
yet.
going to bring both.
I don't think we're
ordinance
ready.
saying no and a cost estimate to fix it. If we fix it, we don't need an ordinance.
I wanna see
let
cost.
the other word continue.
I don't think we're there, right, to say I don't think we're there to say we're rejecting it until we can see the
No.
cost.
Now, here's another question, this is down at the wells.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so we put this money in there, the state all of a sudden says, hey, you know what, you have to have 2 well sites, like we're talking about on what should we call it?
Yes, and
Yeah,
then it would be required to put, then you still would have to put a chemical feed building at your new wells too.
Okay.
Because in case you ever need to chlorinate, because something goes bad in the water supply, you still need a chemical feed building. Chemical feed buildings can't be associated with your pump house. They have to be a separate building. That's why we have 2 buildings at the well field. You cannot put your chemicals into the water in the same building.
Yeah. Well, we don't know, the state's still not, we're still not sure if we have to have that second one, correct?
They'd like to see it.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be, it'll get mandated soon.
I mean, the issue we're having a second well field or at our location, we have no supply to protect the city if that goes down. We're out of water, we're out of water. There's no way to hook to it.
Filter.
Fumie.
They looked at that water too already, and that end of the day, I mean, there's issues, but no.
Get that stuff, it shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
You're gonna want your fluoride then.
oh yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we're moving on from this, I guess?
Yeah, listen, I didn't necessarily expect everyone to make a decision, but I wanted to get the information out there.
That's good, because I'm not making.
Well, I'd like to see,
Would this be any additional like hazardous waste handling, because it is, so toxic, like in a bulk state? Would we have to go through any certain precautions as employees or?
Which is gonna be your cost is first replace all the power in the building. That's the first thing. Then you'd have to hook up how you're gonna handle that. So we do bulk storage now, which gotta be properly vented, so you have to do some ventilation changes. The acid would come in a truck, be pumped into the barrel's sealed, the barrel goes out to the air. You don't touch the chemical. You may have a leak on the ground, you can take care of, but you don't deal with the barrels we were dealing with when we started doing this. We went to bulk. Scale, you have to have a scale to be more itemized, so the scale's gonna cost about $5,000, $8,000 just to put the barrel on, so we can track it by weight, what you're using in the system.
so a question, Brett.
What is that?
So a question on Brett, and your answer too, we don't have the ventilation on it. Is it okay for what's the air quality for our guys in here right now?
Now it's safer with being in the bulk storage, because the building's open and you're using hoses off the truck and the guy's filling the tank, and it's vented out to air through a PVC pipe going out through the wall now. But prior to all this, never had this. I mean, there was a exhaust fan on the wall that got eaten from venting out, since 91, 92, so we had some changes in that. But
Now it's okay.
it etched the glass is gone, the window, if you want to see the window, I got pictures, I couldn't give them download on my phone up. The window that you can't see through is clouded. It ate glass. It ate the galvanized door, it ate everything. So everything's got to be plastic and ran in the building. Being in an acid form, it's very toxic.
In bulk state?
Yeah. But now being more secure, you got to wear rubber gloves, apron, splash guards, and you've got to be protected when you move it there. But once it's going in the system and it's pumping, it's fed in at like a 0.7 or 0.9 milligrams per liter. Any higher, anything like 1.2 or 1.5, 2 parts, and we don't catch it, you can rot kids' teeth, they'll turn black, teeth will fall because of the acid form. So the highest you can be is what, like a 1.2 in the system. And that's all meter pumping, and that's all set up through our wiring through the building comes in from the other, when a pump comes on, the metering system's automatic feed rates, you set the feed rate.
So we just leave this one to them?
Yeah,
Yeah, I wanna see
We'll bring
that.
this at the next one.
Sounds expensive, but still like to see.
But item number 7, election department, Oakcrest, ground power.
Scott, you want me to start this?
I'll take it. So, a couple weeks ago, I was approached by the county. They want to redo Oldcrest Drive, and by doing so, they call it mucking the road. They want to dig down about 5 foot and get the base made fresh, because apparently it's swampy in there, it's wet, the road's not holding up, so they're not satisfied with it. That being said, our pole line needs to move to the edge of the easement. So it's right on the side of the road right now. We need to move it probably close to 20 feet, probably not quite. Regardless, it's swamp, it's not good through there. I recommend getting it in the ground. And it's kind of an appropriate segue talking about the well site. So part of this project will be making the provisions that if a well site does get made on the end of Oakcrest, we can pull 3-phase in. So what we're going to do is pull 1 single phase in, have 2 conduits as a spare, so we can pull 2 more phases in later, and a spare conduit for fiber. So that project ever as a go, the power is good through the swamp. I talked with Florence Utilities, and they are willing to come over and bore the swamp for us. So that's significant cost savings, and we don't have to hire someone to do that. There's quite a bit of work that's involved in it. This project was not budgeted. I'll start by saying that. We didn't know about it until just recently. So that's kind of unfortunate, I guess, but nonetheless, it's a project we do need to get done.
We did budget for $500,000 in capital for a grant match we did not receive. So we do have
Like,
$40 million in.
When are they doing this, Scott?
so they wanted to do it as soon as road restrictions come off.
Oh, so
And I'm
it's
like,
not like we can put it, wait, because we're doing budgets coming up.
yeah, he said they're flexible on that a little bit, but they want to get going on the right away in spring.
And when were you approached by this?
About 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
It's fed aerial right now?
It is. It is.
What's wrong with the aerial feed?
So right now, it's too close to the road. We gotta move the pole line to the edge of the easement. So there is an option, we could move the pole line. Now, by doing so, we're gonna have to disrupt an incredible amount of vegetation through there, and people are gonna get upset about that, because we're gonna have to cut a lot of trees down. I would recommend not. I think the more underground we get, the better. So it's about 1,800 feet we'd be putting in the ground. It's a good start to the road. The problem we also have too is if we don't put the additional conduits in now, to do it in the future is really hard. The ditch is getting congested already with gas, fiber, and there's actually a high pressure gas right behind it. So the time to do it is now, not trying to come back and do it later.
So with that swamp land in there, with the poles, do we have DEQ or anybody, we're gonna have to mess with any of that?
No, if we bore,
The
we're
DNR will do.
If we-
We gotta move the poles.
we would abandon the poles. We would bore and go underground. That's my recommendation.
How close does that get us to the possible future well sites?
Well, knocks off 1,800 feet, so probably, I don't know, what's it to the end of the road? 2 miles maybe? So I mean, it's a good percentage of it that we're,
At the beginning, area,
Yeah.
at the beginning, going just past the golf course right there.
it's basically from the DTE pump, if you can picture what that is.
We were-
1,800 feet, as you go out there, you'll see the road goes up on a little bit of a knoll, we're gonna get to the top of the knoll. So from the knoll down, it's just swampy in there. We can open cut about 400 feet of it, and then the rest will have to get bored, because it's quite wet in there. So I guess what we're looking for is conduit. That's what the inner duct is, 2-inch. We need 4 reels of that. We need 1 reel of underground power, and we do need a 10 kV pad mount transformer for one of the customers that we would convert to underground while we're going past. We do have one in inventory, so we will just get one to replace the one we're pulling out of inventory. So I'm trying to give you a whole picture of what the project would cost. So $20,640 is what I estimated the cost, and that's with Florence coming and helping us out. So
Do we have the wire already? We just
we do. We'd have to replace it. Yep.
So
Wire. Thankfully, if you can get an update on that, wires. I can get wired pretty readily now. It's not. And the inner duct too. For a while, the inner duct was 6 months out. It's about 3 weeks out now.
So there's zero labor in this, you're saying?
I didn't calculate labor in this. I didn't calculate our labor. We're not.
But I'm saying there's zero outside labor.
There is 0 outside labor. This is, so, for council's knowledge, we have, me and many of our WPPI members have formed like a northern utility meeting group, and we get together about quarterly and talk about challenges that we're all facing. And part of that is, I wouldn't call it mutual aid, but mutual help, where we go around and we help each other out. Like we were at Escanaba in the fall helping them pull wire. Now Florence is going to come help us do boring. So we're trying to use our expertise at our little utilities and help each other out and further the cause. So
Good.
this is part of that paying off.
So what you're saying here is it's 20 grand and change, but we'd have to move the pole line anyways.
We have to move the pole line anyway. No matter what, that pole line is gonna move. I recommend just getting rid of the pole line and getting it in the ground.
I mean, the power's gonna have to move regardless. The one part of it that we wouldn't have to do that we're recommending to do, and that's the 3-phase and the conduit for the fiber to go to a potential well site if we end up getting there.
So the
That would
risk,
be the only 3-phase?
yeah, it's only single phase down there right now. So the risk is we bury these extra conduits, which are about $4,000 of the cost, and we never build the well site. So we've done $4 grand into the ground and we're never going to use it. But I think the risk outweighs the reward on that, because if we do build a well site, it's going to be really difficult to come back later and put that 3-phase in. Whereas this year we just open the conduit, pull wire in, and away we go.
Well, those conduits could be used for fiber down the line too, if there's ever any need for it back there, subdivision, or whatever.
Yeah, and one of the spare conduits would be specifically for fiber.
And that fiber is mostly for our fiber ring, not necessarily for broadband, but just to connect all, with the rest of our facilities. So the idea is just trying to think ahead, that if we end up having to do it, we have somewhat to make it easier on us.
I appreciate being proactive instead of reactive.
So I don't see a recommendation. Are you asking us for approval tonight, or you just want to tighten up your number? What's the story?
I think he's looking for approval for that amount to do that project.
Some of it is because it's unbudgeted, and we're going to be removing about $20,640 from hydro capital and putting it into distribution capital.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll motion that the Oakcrest aerial to underground electric project be approved for a cost estimate of $20,640. You want to do not to exceed?
I mean, I
I like how you said it.
Yeah.
Just, I guess you never really know.
Doesn't look like
what's
it's that tight.
Come up. Actually, in my memo for the water system, what I'm suggesting, generally speaking, is that we look at always having a contingency percent in there, because we don't know what happens when you open up a project. This one, I think, is a little different. It's going to be our stuff, and there's no contractors. It's probably a little safer.
I'll do not to exceed, I don't care.
It's up to you.
Mm.
Do whatever you want.
Or if you want to do, if you just want to put a number where if it exceeds beyond this to a certain amount, we come back, it's up to you.
Well, it's hard to say no when you're 90% done. I'm good with my motion.
Support.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
No.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Magee?
Yes.
And no is because not to exceed. I feel like if you need more money, you should come back and let us know.
All right, item number 8, Sturgeon Fall Hydro Invasive Species Monitoring.
Yes, sir. So every 2 years per our FERC license, we are required to do invasive species monitoring. And I say the FERC license, but the DNR and EGLE are basically the stakeholders in that license agreement that dictate this to us. We have partnered with the Dickinson County Conservation District in the past. They've done an outstanding job. This is such a niche, I don't know where to get a competitive bid on it. So I reached out to them. I'm being kind of proactive on this one. It's not in this year's budget, it's actually in next year's budget, but I want to get it approved and scheduled so the Conservation District knows that when the weather permits, they can go ahead and get it done, and we will include it in next year's budget. It won't be paid for until next year's budget, but at least they know that they've got the summer to get it done.
Yeah, it's not due till July 5th, 2025.
Correct.
Motion? Question? Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the invasive species monitoring as required by DNR and Eagle for our FERC license, for a complete bid report of up to $5,000.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Blue? Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Oh, yes, can't wait to give FERC more money for invasive species.
All right, move on here, Council.
That was a solid, yes.
Mr. Kramer, have any?
I have none, thank you.
Mr. Medina?
I have none.
Mr. Moraro?
Nothing, Mr. Pop.
Mayor?
Thanks for taking over from me tonight, I appreciate it.
I do have one question, or not question, but since David, you're sitting in here, with this beautiful winter we've had so far, how do you think we are in our budget with salt, man hours, compared to where we would be in the past year?
So far this year, we went out in January 2 Saturdays, after the overtime we've had, January with full crew. We salted 3 or 4 times, we've been daily of that. Salt usage, we used over 100 ton roughly in January. And we're filled and we got 200 ton on the ground, we're ready to go. Winter's not over.
No, winter's not over.
February's gonna get cold, March we're gonna get major snow, April we're gonna get snow, fall fields won't be ready till May. How do you like that for a forecast?
Aren't you a peach?
Based on that, I'm pretty much sure our winter's gonna go towards,
Yeah, I
April,
didn't see,
May.
I didn't see April, but I did see the end of February and March are gonna take.
salt wise, I mean, we're ready, I mean, we're getting rain tomorrow,
Yeah.
50 degrees, yeah. Road restrictions are on, that's the earliest I've seen them come on. I don't think they're gonna come off even after we get some cold weather, unless we get really cold. They're saying cold 30s and 20s with the sun. The ice rink, we made an attempt. That didn't last, it lasted a week, and that's gone, so that's done for the year. We're not gonna even attempt anything anymore.
No frozen pipes this year?
Just 2 residents inside. That was their trouble. They had to take care of it. We didn't have to go there or anything. It's basically crawl spaces where wind was blowing through in that cold snap. Frost was only down a foot in the roads. You have hardly anything in the yards and so.
Like you did say, the low is like, we're saying it's getting cold.
Yeah.
It's not like it's gonna be the 0 to.
Not the negative 20, I don't see
It's
it.
the average temperature that's coming on now.
But forecast, I'm seeing, I didn't see a shadow, but that doesn't mean we're not gonna get winter here.
I'm believing that. All
Is
right,
that what you're getting into when you retire, David? You can be a forecaster?
Mr. Spillman.
You're gonna call me, hey, it's what?
Mr. Carlson?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. No, thank you, I have none.
All right, well, we are going into closed session for Open Act 15.268. Closed session, section 8, city manager yearly evaluation. After that, we will be coming back out to the adjournment, and we will not be discussing anything else.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Short break.
Oh,